Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Squadron, the podcast devoted to creating and optimizing a healthy and fulfilling life for first responders all around the world. I'm your host, Garrett Teslop. I'm a sergeant for a sheriff's department in Southern California. And on this show, I talk to experts in a variety of fields looking for those force multipliers that I can apply to my own life. My goal is to make us both happier and healthier, so you and I can pursue our challenging careers with energy, clarity, and a commitment to our oath. Our guest today is an elusive man, a very elusive man. Someone I've actually had, and I give him grief when I start the show with him. Someone I've tried to have on this show for probably 2 years. He, for his own good reasons, very excellent reasons, didn't want to come on, wanted to maintain a little bit of his privacy. But I carefully coaxed him into getting in front of a microphone, and I'm glad I did, because this is a fun conversation today with Wilson, the man behind Police Fitness Nutrition, an Instagram page that is completely blowing up, that I am guessing most every one of you follow already if you're on Instagram. We started our Instagram pages, or I started the podcast around the same time he started the Instagram page, and I just watched it take off. Wilson's message is one of positivity. It's one of being a guide and a help and a coach for people, and it's great. It's a great resource out there. I use it, and I look forward to his posts every time they're out. So Wilson is a sheriff sergeant, much like me. However, he's not in Southern California. He's on the opposite coast, out in New Jersey. And we've exchanged emails and correspondence back and forth for the last 2 years. Always had good conversations. He's always been very, very supportive of the show, and he's always done his best to spread the word about the show. But I wanted to get him on to talk about his own purpose and why somebody who has kids and a wife and those things, why would he want to go through the time and effort of putting out this page that, you know, kind of puts him out there, and the courage and vulnerability it takes to be willing to do that. And we bonded a little bit on that. So anyway, here is our conversation with Wilson, the founder, creator, the producer, the man behind the Instagram phenom page, Police Fitness Nutrition. All right, my guest today, special guest, a guy who has been harder to get onto this show than I think pretty much everyone else. Harder to get than Dave Grossman, harder to get than Tony Blauer, harder to get than Greg Amundsen. A guy who is more legend than anything. No, I'm giving him a hard time because I've been recruiting him for literally since this thing started. For going on 2 years. Wilson with Police Fitness Nutrition, one of the most well-followed Instagram and social media sites out there for cops and police fitness. Wilson, welcome to the show.
Garrett, how you doing? Nice to be on, finally.
Yes, I am not joking that I think, you know, we started our little projects your projects is blowing up. We started our project around the same time, roughly about 2 years ago. My first episode was 2 years ago this month. And reached out and we started chatting over Instagram back and forth. I loved what you were doing and the inspiring messages you were putting out there. You were giving some props to the show and putting out some of the episode and the content we were doing. And we just developed this nice little back and forth, always supportive of each other's efforts because we're out there trying to do the same thing. But I've been recruiting you since then to come on, and you understandably have been reluctant. Not for the show itself, but we're cops, right? We try to keep everything private. We try to keep ourselves out there. Most, I guess, except But anyway, I'm so excited to have you on, man. I've been looking forward to this.
I'm glad to be on. I've always been a fan. I've always loved what you've been trying to do, but like you said, I was just a little more private and kept myself, out of the face of everything.
So for people that aren't familiar with your Instagram page, walk them through that real quick and give me the current status of the page there.
So on Instagram, the page is Police Fitness and Nutrition, and its main focus is just helping guys, give police officers and anybody else who wants to listen little tips here and there to help them through their shift, whether it's a snack to eat instead of, soda, chips, whatever. And, little tips to help them stay in shape or get in shape if that's what they're trying to do. And Instagram actually took off a lot more than Facebook. Instagram, we're currently sitting around 78,000 supporters, and Facebook is around 29. I kind of faded off of Facebook a little bit once I got over to Instagram.
What motivated you to do that? I mean, because to get that many followers, as someone who's in that same kind of area of trying to spread a reach, but like what you got a family, you've got a job, you're a sergeant with the sheriff's department in New Jersey. What was the motivation there?
The story, how it started, isn't as positive as one. It was back in 2013, and I was on the job, and I responded to a call that basically happened in front of my eyes. It was a group fighting in the middle of the street, throwing cinder blocks from a construction site. They were hitting each other with sticks. And I was the only one there. I called my communications. I stepped out and started splitting everybody up. And when all was said and done, I was struggling with this one female who was just, refusing to let me restrain her, we could say. And my backup shows up, and finally everybody stopped, because the reinforcements were there. Mm-hmm. So as I'm looking up, I noticed a city cop, because I work county. I noticed a city cop. He was extremely out of shape. He looked sloppy. He looked like he should have retired maybe, a year ago. And he was just standing there with his hands in his pocket watching the entire time as I was struggling with, this group of people, until my guy showed up. So that kind of, pissed me off in a way to where I went on the computer and I was looking for different pages and stuff like that regarding police fitness and health and stuff. And I couldn't find anything anywhere on Facebook at the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to create something. And that's where police fitness came along. But in its first, I'll say 3 months, it wasn't as positive as it is now. It was a little more negative. It was more like, if you're not in shape, get off the job type stuff. Mm-hmm. And that was someone I'm not, but it just started growing and people started responding to it. But then in a way I wasn't liking, a lot of more negativity towards the whole thing. So I slowed down and I started getting messages from people saying, hey, listen, I'm in that boat. I need to get myself back in shape. What can, recommend to me? What can I eat when I'm on duty? Do you have any exercises or any workout plans you can help me with? And it evolved from there to where I started helping these people, giving them little tips. And I was like, this is where this needs to go. Get rid of all that negative nonsense, because it wasn't a good look. It wasn't something that I wanted to be a part of. So once I started helping one person, it just, it multiplied and it kept going, and it's where it is now.
It's been awesome, man, to watch it explode like that too. And it really is like, I can't think of another word except explode, because you're hitting a market out there for people who need help or want help. But like you say, that positivity message comes through in your posts, and you're constantly showing the results of hard work, the results of good nutrition, and like you say, you're giving out those tips, the shift tips as you call them, the importance of drinking water or your vitamins or your supplementation, that sort of stuff. What has this experience been like though now after 2 years, and you've got these people coming to you, and what was your, I guess I want to ask two questions, but I want to inform one. But do you have any background in the fitness industry in the sense of, fitness and conditioning? I mean, you're a strong guy yourself. You're in shape. You demonstrate that on the page all the time. But these people automatically started to look to you as an authority figure in that. And was that intimidating or was that gratifying, do you think?
I could say it was both, because I'm not, a certified personal trainer. I'm not a certified nutritionist, anything like that. I gave all my tips and nutritional, I guess you could say, advice according to what has worked for me. Mm-hmm. I grew up a fitness buff, from playing sports since I was, a little kid, to wrestling, to just being around the gym, being around that whole scene, and just having a love and a passion for fitness. And everything I speak on, whether it's supplements, whether it's training or nutrition, it's all based off what I have done and what has worked for me and what I've seen work for other people. I would never talk about something that I haven't tried myself, because that's something that is out of my expertise.
Yeah. So what has this experience afforded you? What kind of opportunities has it afforded you now that you are, a couple years in and you've got this following? What are the things that you've expanded on more than just producing this Instagram page?
It has helped me reach a lot of interesting people, and people who are doing a lot better things than I'm doing. They're doing great things out there for their community through health and fitness. They're doing programs with kids. They're interacting. They're doing a lot of community policing. They're running events. And I have met a lot of them, through social media and stuff like that. And I'm going to try to help promote them and wish them luck. Me personally, I haven't, I've gotten invited to different events to speak, to attend, and that's something I haven't felt comfortable, going into yet, but it's something I'm working on, as we speak, since, of course, I'm on your show now. And it's something I'm going to work on. I really want to expand that way into more events, more fundraising, and take it to that level to where it's actually helping more people and not just, dishing out some tips on the internet.
Was this something that you anticipated or you wanted to have happen at the end of this, or what was your goal when you started the page? Was it just trying to, you talk about the moving from negativity to positivity, but was the initial idea to kind of shame motivate some cops into getting in shape, or did you have this idea in your head that it was going to be this big?
No, I had no idea what was going to come of it, what I was going to do with it. It was just a spontaneous thing I did because I couldn't find anything on the internet at that time, because it actually started on Facebook in 2013, I believe. Mm-hmm. And had a slow, following or increase in following at the time. And I really didn't know where I wanted to go with it. Actually, once I went to Instagram, that's when it blew up and I started seeing that I can help a lot more people. And that's when people started reaching out to me and, wanting to get together and collaborate and do stuff together. Yeah. So me personally, I had no idea where I was going to go with it.
What is the way that you have reached out to these people and vice versa? I mean, you one of the coolest things I like that you do is you post these photos of either cops who've gone through a transformation, or like I always like the ones where it's like the cop in full kit or full gun belt doing pull-ups, or something to keep himself fresh or warm. Do you have people just sending you oodles of these videos at this point, and because they know that this page is so powerful, or do you have to go out there and look for it?
Yeah, I do. In the beginning, I would, search hashtags and, comment on people's stuff and just say, hey, great job, great work, love your transformation. Now, just everything gets sent to the inbox. It's still behind to this day because you have to actually sit there, and I like to read everything and go through everything, and to catch up on it right now is going to take me some time. But it's pretty cool to see that as well. And anyone who's listening, I am sorry if I haven't gotten to you yet, but I will. But like you said, it's very busy with work, my family, my home's under construction. So right now, everyone reaches out. And the only thing is, people who really follow the page could see that I don't post, bikini pictures or men without shirts and stuff like that. It's just not my style, but I consistently get those in my inbox. And then I have to go through the whole thing of apologizing, but this isn't, the direction of the page. And then that's when I'll request, if they want to be featured, to send me a uniform photo of either doing an exercise or eating something healthy. And then I can use that for a post. But I won't post anything unless it's usually in uniform or in the shirts that we used to make, or in some kind of police insignia.
Yeah. What is that? Just to keep it away from kind of that clickbaity kind of thing, or?
Yeah, it's just not my style. I like the pages and some other pages that do that. I don't hold anything against them. It's just not my style. And it wouldn't be respectful either to my wife if I'm sitting there promoting, quote unquote sex on a page. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the point of the page.
Yeah. No, it's clearly not. And so how do you get the time? I mean, you post pretty consistently, several times a day often. That's got to take a lot of time. How much time do you spend on this in a given week, do you think?
To be honest with you, not much anymore, because let's say I have a slow day here, my daughter's napping, I have nothing to do. Mm-hmm. I'll write down notes in my phone on, a topic I want to talk about or a quick post I want to do, and I'll just have it stored there. So when the time comes that I want to do a post, I usually do max 3 posts a day, morning, midday, night. Mm-hmm. And then I'll just copy it, paste it, and I'll have an idea what I want to do,
So you really streamline the process for you.
Excuse me?
You've streamlined the process.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the hardest things I've had with dealing with like Instagram is finding the time to be consistent. Because as you know, if you're trying to develop followers, consistency is key. And I'll go days without it, because obviously my focus is more on this audio format here, and the Instagram serves that purpose of that. But I mean, it's been cool to watch this whole organic community come out of your page. So, you started the page, Facebook and Instagram. I just checked, you're close to 79. You're probably past 79,000 followers today. And I can't wrap my head around the fact that there's even 79,000 cops on Instagram, much less people who are that engaged and wanting to see these sorts of, cops in uniform doing good things and doing good deeds. But I want to go back a little bit and just talk more about your own experience and what brought you into law enforcement in the first place. And then we'll kind of go through your experience from there.
Sounds good. Originally, I did not want to work in law enforcement. Before I got on the job, I worked in radio, and I understand. I remember hearing a podcast. You used to work in radio or something back in the day, right?
I had a college radio show. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I used to want to work in radio, and I was working with there's this radio station over here, KTU. It was a club station at the time. And I was loving it. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to move up the ranks there and eventually be their event coordinator, put on the concerts, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But my uncle, who was a chief of police at a major city over here, he sat me down. He's like, listen, I'm going to retire this year. If you want to get in, you got to do it now, And I thought about it. I was like, nah, I don't know if it's for me. I always had respect for the police. It was one of those childhood things like, oh, it would be so cool to be a cop, but it wasn't my main thing. My whole thing was working in the entertainment field. And after a while, the station started going through some changes, new management. Everybody was leaving, and I was like, all right, I think it's the time, I'll give this a go. And, I signed up for the test. He put me in a study class with some of his friends, and I ended up doing well and getting hired.
And how long have you been on now?
I'm in my 10th year now.
Okay. And were you in, would you say you were into a career in the radio, or was this kind of early 20s? What time did you, how old were you when you got hired?
It was early 20s. I got on the job at 24.
Okay. So we're still pretty young, and then 10 years in now, and you just about a year ago got promoted to sergeant, is that right?
Yeah, it'll be a year tomorrow.
Okay, congratulations. Yeah. Is your probation a year or 18 months?
Our probation is 18 months.
Oh,
No. Actually, no, our probation is 3 months.
For sergeant?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. Ours is a year, so you have to make that year mark.
That's what I thought at first, but they're like, no, we're only 3 months. I was like, all right.
All right. Yeah.
If I would have got hired 3 months earlier, I would have been eligible for the lieutenant set that is coming up.
Oh, wow. So what assignments have you done? And we want to respect the privacy of your family, of course, and you yourself. So we're not going to talk specifically about your agency, but give us a sense of the kind of area you work in. Is it rural, urban, suburban? Your population density. Give us some of that info so we understand where you work.
It's basically all of the above. It's an interesting county. Some of the cities in the county are the most densely populated in the nation. Um, we're in a close proximity to New York City, so that kind of, comes together with our area.
Hmm.
Um, then we have the smaller towns, that rural, as you say. But yeah, it's an interesting county to work in, to say the least. You can get everything from the usual shots fired to domestic to a drunk walking down the street to a deer. You got to go catch a deer that got loose or somebody's goat got out of their yard. So the calls are very interesting. They range from one end to the other.
Right. And then I laugh about the loose stock comment there because we get those too in the midst of some of those other things as well. What
I got some good pictures of that. It's funny.
what how many sworn officers do you have in your department?
Let me see. We're probably around between 300 and 400, low fours.
Okay. And I'm on the West Coast, obviously, but I imagine that you are also running the county jails, and or do you have an emphasis on municipal jails on the East Coast?
For us, our sheriff's department, we don't control the jail in our county. We control the Superior Courthouse, county roads, county parks, and yeah, we don't have the jail at this time, even though we wish we did because we probably get paid a little more.
So I'm going to ask you a dumb question because, in California, county sheriffs are the ones in charge of the jails. And you have larger agencies like LAPD might have a municipal jail, but anyone who gets sentenced to anything, they go to a county jail. Who runs the jail in that area?
There's actually a county correctional.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we have county corrections, then we have the county sheriff, and then we have the municipalities.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. That makes a little more sense then. So you've spent most of your time in patrol, I imagine, like most of us do in our first decade, or where have you done?
Coming out the academy, I was still in my my party mode, coming from the radio station. So I stayed in the courthouse Monday through Friday, weeks and holidays off. I did that whole thing for about 3 years until it just got old. And then I've been in patrol since. I've been in patrol 6 years now.
I was a bailiff for 3 months and I wanted to kill myself. I don't know how you did it for that long.
Yeah. We have a lot of guys that they can't stand it. And now, with all respect to everyone that's working there, not now as a sergeant, but as an officer, sometimes if they were short-staffed, we would have to go work it. Mm-hmm. And going from patrol back there, it was a little tough, definitely.
Yeah.
You definitely have a different mindset.
In our age, when I started, now it's a sought-after position because we have deputies who are getting older, and so we actually have a backlog of people who want to go to courts. But when I started, we had a policy that after you hit your 2-year mark, you were eligible to be forced into a position in courts. And, this is now 10, 11 years ago. Nobody wanted to go. It was all young guys who were running and gunning and wanted to go out and catch bad guys. The last thing they wanted to do was go sit in a courthouse and listen to someone else's story about how they went out running and gunning and catching the bad guy. And I got bussed into that position. Luckily, I got promoted out of it to a specialty spot. But it's, but as I get older, too, now I see the benefit maybe of that, like you say, nights, weekends off for the kids and holidays and no surprises.
That's what I told my wife. I'm like, maybe when the kids are older and, I'm getting a little closer to retirement, I'm like, maybe I'll put back in for that Monday through Friday gig, So we'll see.
So when you got promoted, was there any pushback or has there been any pushback from your agency in terms of the page? We had KP from Fit Cops on the show a while ago, and she seems to have a lot of antagonists, both within her department and in police in general, about her page. But we're careful we have to be careful on social media with what we say and what we do and how we present ourselves. But was there any issues with you and your department?
No, so far I've been lucky. I've had not one issue at my department with the page. In the beginning, the first few years, nobody even knew that I was the one behind the page except for my close group of friends from work. It wasn't until I think it took me 2 years before I actually put a picture of myself up.
Yeah.
And then people were like, holy shit, you're doing that page. And I was like, yeah, but since then I've had no kickback. Fit Cops, I love the page. I'm good friends with DC. They just have a different, they go about things a little differently that might not sit well with everyone else. So I'm thinking, if I had a page more like that, I might get a little more slack from my department. But so far, keeping it how it is has been good. I've had no issues, no screenshots taken yet and reported about me. So I'll try to keep it like that.
You haven't been pulled in by a lieutenant to talk about your most recent post?
No. I've even had my lieutenant put one of our small rookies on his back and do a squat once for a picture.
What about your, now that you're a supervisor, so things change a little bit. And, like for me, I don't talk about this podcast at work. Like it is not some people know about it because they're friends or, they heard about it or, like you say, the close group of friends. But in general, most people have no idea in my own department that I do this.
Yeah.
And it's always a surprise to them when they find out. But part of that was too is because I don't want to come across as a supervisor, as a sergeant, look like I'm a guy who's out there trying to, throw some influence around. Has there been any concern or any issues with that with the people that work for? I don't like to say work for you, but work with you on your squad?
No, I can't say there's any concern yet. And I'm kind of in your boat where I don't talk about it too often. With my squad, let's say somebody would be like, they'll eat something crappy, they'd be like, oh, don't put this on your page type stuff. Or when I was selling stuff, people would just yell out, where's my T-shirt or where's my water bottle? That's basically the most I get from my department and people. And with my squad, all the guys are good. Same thing. Just sometimes they're like, oh, you're going to put me up on your page if I take a picture? And I'm like, I don't like to post people from my department too much, Mm-hmm. So I've been good keeping it that way.
You mentioned that you said a couple times you used to make stuff for the water bottles and T-shirts. Have you stopped doing that?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, eventually I'm going to get back into it slowly, but it was a lot of work and it was time consuming. And now with everything going on around my house personally, I couldn't keep up with it. My system of doing it was terrible. Mm-hmm. Like it was slow. It was, very tedious. And I didn't get into this, to tell you the truth, to make any money. I don't care about making money with it. I just want to do good things with it. So that's why I stopped doing it. I'm taking a step back. And eventually when we go in the direction we want to go in, we'll get stuff made, but it's all going to be, towards a fundraiser or some type of event we're doing. It's not going to be to sell to people online to profit.
Mm-hmm. So I want to get into some of the things that you use yourself now. It sounds like you've always had an emphasis on your own physical fitness, and that transitioned well into law enforcement for you. But what is your day-to-day, or maybe not day-to-day, but your workout routine look like in a week? Because you've got a job, you got shift work, you got a wife and kid. One kid or two?
One with one on the way.
Well, congratulations. That's going to make it infinitely that much harder. Trust me, I know. So, but what does it look like for you, and how have you been able to be successful at
it? It's tiring, I'm not going to lie, because if I don't go to the gym or if I'm not exercising, I do start to feel a little off, So I worked it out now, because I work 12-hour days, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mm-hmm. And going after work was tough because I'm either tired or I would go there. By the time I'm done with the gym, I'll get to see my daughter for 5-10 minutes, and then we got to put her down, mm-hmm. So I started just waking up early, and I go to the gym before work. I'll wake up at 4:10, get to the gym by 5, work out from 5 to 6, and then just right from the gym, head to work and get my workout in. And I'll do that maybe 4 or 5 times a week.
Do you stay consistent on getting up at 4:10 even on your days off?
No, on my days off, I'll get up around 5:30 because I'll just try to go early before my wife wakes up to leave to work. Mm-hmm. So, I'll go around 5:30, get it in, come back, and then she's waking up to go to work, and then I'm taking care of the baby when she wakes up.
And and then how about your nutrition part of that? That's obviously you got 2 parts of police fitness and nutrition nutrition's a big part of it. How do you do your nutrition?
My nutrition changed actually as of February. I used to, I hate counting calories, but I used to count calories. The whole if it fits your macros thing, and I did a post maybe 2 weeks ago about it, which caused a lot of talk, a lot of back and forth between people because that's a sensitive subject with people who count their calories and don't want to count them. And my whole thing was I hate counting calories, and I'm a fitness enthusiast, and I hate counting them. So imagine someone who isn't as passionate about fitness as I am. Nobody, I can't say nobody, but most people don't want to count their calories. They just want to be able to eat, be healthy, and not, gain too much weight.
Right.
So now I eat a lot less carbs than I used to because, I have an Italian wife. She wants to make pasta every single day. And she's worked with me, though. She'll stick to once a week now, and if she ran out of ideas for that week, she'll be like, do you mind if I make pasta again? I'm like, no, we're good. Go ahead, And then if I'm going to have pasta that day for dinner, I'll just basically have next to no carbs during the day, and for breakfast, and it balances itself out. And it has worked extremely well for me to where I'm actually feeling comfortable telling people, give it a shot, because it made it so much easier. Now I don't count anything. I don't worry about that, and I'm still losing weight, and it's been great.
So if you're replacing the macro counting, because I hate that too, man. Oh, I've tried it all.
It's terrible.
And I've gone so far as to even try calorie counting, but calorie timing. Oh my gosh. So anyway, what is it? What are you eating now? Are you basically on like a paleo or a ketogenic diet, or basically just a low to no carb and everything else is fair game?
Yeah, I do low carb, high fat. I'm not keto because my carbs aren't that low. I still get my carbs. I try to keep them under 125 to 100 grams a day, and that's just based off of me knowing what I'm eating. I don't like inputting it anywhere. When I first started this, I would put it into my Fitness Pal just to get an idea on what I'm working with.
Yeah.
And now it's basically the same thing. Excuse me. So yeah, it's been working.
So I went sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm good. What's up?
So I've talked about this in the episodes. I was at a health conference at the beginning of the year for cops, and numerous doctors got up on stage and said, you cops especially must be on a high fat, low carb to no carb diet. You mentioned you've lost weight, but you're still losing weight. Is that your goal though, or are you trying? And also, what are some of the benefits you've felt in terms of your energy or your physical composition?
Yeah, my goal in the beginning was to lose a little bit of weight, not too much, because I've always kept myself around the weight I wanted to be, but I was feeling bloated. My skin was breaking out, and my energy was terrible. Like I would, I'll say this now because it's not anymore, but I'll be at work sometimes, and next thing you know, it's like, when you snap out of like, oh shit, I think I just fell asleep for a second. Yeah. And that never used to happen to me. And I was like, what's going on here? And I was like, I got to change up maybe my diet or something like that. And I started reading on keto, and that's what got me really into it. I started listening to some podcasts, and I gave it a shot. I was like, I'll never be keto because I'm not that low with my carbs.
Because you got an Italian wife, right?
Yeah, but the whole idea of it, I fell in love with.
Yeah.
And then I started reading into the science behind, excess sugar intake and refined carbs and all that. And I started learning a lot more than I ever did. And I actually heard your podcast with the chief from Reno, the
Yeah.
ex-chief.
Yeah, retired chief.
He
Yeah.
implemented that program, and that was a great listen, because then I started reading about that and looking into Rob Wolf, and it was very educational stuff.
Good. What are some of the books you'd recommend for people? Do you point them to if they want to learn about this stuff?
Oh man, the first one I read that helped me nutrition-wise was what's it called? Fitness Confidential from Vinny Tortorich.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's a trainer out your way. At least he used to be, but now he has a podcast. He wrote that book. That got me started in the direction, started leading me towards more stuff.
His podcast is very good too. Yeah.
Which one?
His podcast, Vinny's podcast, is really good too.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, that, and right now I'm reading The Case Against Sugar.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I think Jason Fung wrote that one. So those are the two I recommend.
Yeah. The Case Against Sugar is on my. It's actually somewhere within eyeshot of me right here. It's on my next to read list myself.
Yeah.
I just finished Grain Brain.
Yeah, I heard that.
That one's crazy and scary how much those high sugar diets affect us mentally and physically.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out. I heard that you were reading that on your podcast.
So I skipped over some of the important stuff too, but going back to your workout, you mentioned, how many times a week are you getting up at that 4:10 or 5:30 wake up for a workout?
5 times a week for the most part. If I'm really in bad shape from work the previous day and I'm off the next day, I'll try to go around 8:30 if my wife is off from work as well.
Okay. So 5 times a week, do you follow a specific program? Do you have a coach? What kind of workout do you do? Tell us a little bit about that.
My current routine is a push-pull legs routine. It's my favorite workout routine that I do because I just see the most benefits from it. But I don't stick to it strictly. If I'm waking up and I'm just feeling a certain kind of way, I'll change it up. Instead of doing my push, I'll just sit there and do arms that day, or I'll do legs that day. I'll just get on the bike and, pedal for a half hour to 45 minutes. So I don't stick to a certain workout religiously, but my main focus is a push-pull right now.
And is that something you've just developed that works for you over the course of time, or is that something a coach prepared for you, or how did you come about that?
This particular routine and the whole concept behind it was I was working with a coach, RJ Perkins. He's an IFBB pro. He does online coaching and everything like that. And I reached out to him maybe in 2012. We worked together for about a year right before my wedding. I was like, I want to look good for my wedding, the pictures and all that. And he taught me a lot. And he really got my, fitness passion going even more than it was with the stuff I learned through him. So,
the theme of the show, you listen to our show, a common theme is that everybody needs a coach, right? Mm-hmm. And that we all need to, we have our circle of people around us, but coaches need coaches, and the importance of a coach, I think, is often missed on people. What I think is interesting is that you had a coach, but you're now transitioning to being a coach for other people, and may not necessarily in that same day-to-day, here's your plan, but your page is out there doing essentially the same thing and having that same motivating factor on people. Have you recognized that transition?
I have, and I had people ask me if I could write them a program and, write them a meal plan, and that's just something I haven't felt comfortable. I will recommend workout routines to people. Nutrition-wise, I won't. I'll just, tell them stuff to stay away from, stuff to try. Workout-wise, I will give them a specific program saying, try this, but I'll give them the basic architecture of it and be like, you can switch this workout or this exercise if you want. Just make sure it's a pull movement, mm-hmm. A back movement, a bicep movement, but you can switch it to something you like more, something that's going to work for you.
And then, supplementation is a big people ask about that all the time or have questions about it. I have questions about it all the time. What is your current, or what do you do for supplementation? What kinds of things do you take? Yeah, I'm curious what you do.
Yeah, I mean, once upon a time, I took everything from creatine to fat burners. I've tried it all. But recently, I've been more worried about, living healthier than walking around with all this muscle. So right now, all I take the joint supplement from First Form. That's great. If like you're starting to get aches and pains, I just, take one of those. I'm good to go. I take a multivitamin, a vitamin D, and a magnesium, and that's it right now.
What time?
And I have a protein shake here and there as well.
Yeah, you mentioned on the page quite often you try to get your protein from whole food sources, but I mean, are you doing a shake a day, or is it really just a in between a couple times a week?
A couple times a week, yeah. It used to be basically once a day, but now it's whenever I can't, get that meal I want to get in. Mm-hmm. I always have my protein in my bag at work, and I, of course, always have some home. So if I can't get the meal and I want to get in, I make me a quick shake, throw some water in it, and I'm good to go.
So that's a question I had too. Is one of my, the challenges. If you're doing all your protein from whole food sources, you're either spending a lot of money at restaurants, or you're either eating not very good protein in the form of fast food, or you're meal prepping and planning and bringing your food in. How do you navigate the eating on duty thing?
Eating on duty, for the most part, I prep my stuff. I'm good for the week, because with my schedule, 1 week it's our long week. I'm working 5 days, 12-hour days. It's rough. But then the following week, I only have to work 2 days a week. It counteracts it. So the prepping isn't as bad. But I'll prep if I have to work and I don't have my meals prepped. Then I have certain locations, because I work county-wide. So in every single town, I know the spot that I'm going to go to if I don't have my meal. It's already set. And I try to stick to, the basics. Salad with some chicken and fresh mutts. If there's a Chipotle around, I'll run and get me a double steak, So you just have to know the spots to go to and know what you're getting, because you go to some random spot and you're going to get what you think is healthy, but it's probably loaded with so much crap that you're doing nothing for yourself.
Yeah. That's the biggest challenge, I think, for most everyone. And if you're working 12-hour days in a row, that doesn't leave a whole lot of time for much of anything.
No.
And that's...
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, the key is if you eat real foods, eat your real proteins, and if you eat a little more fat than you're used to, you're basically staying fuller longer, and you're not sitting there trying to snack on everything, and you're not hungry all the time. Then if you're eating, all this bread or eating all this candy, an hour, 2 hours later, you're hungry again, and it's just the cycle goes on, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm. So, how does your department work with you? Do you rotate it? Are you looking at a night shift anytime soon in terms of rotating the nights?
No, they're pretty good with unless you want to go, you're not going. They have the power to just say, sorry, seniority's coming up, you're going down, type of stuff. But I have a good relationship with the upper management that they're working with me. They won't put me on nights and cause any type of family issue at home, childcare, all that stuff. So they've helped me out. Even when I first got promoted, instead of sending me back to the courthouse or to sending me to nights where it wouldn't have really helped me out, even though I had no say because I just got promoted, they left me on my squad. So, that was a tough transition, going from, an officer with all these guys to now being a supervisor. I'm still working on that, that difference to this day and trying to find a good balance.
Well, I think you were going to be, having gone through a very similar experience, you're going to be working on it for a long time, because it's not something you can just naturally transition to, and nobody's out there. Nobody tells you how to do this thing, right? I mean, there's no handbook that you get handed on your promotion day that says, here's how to do everything perfectly.
Yeah. And apparently there's some kind of supervisor school that all these guys go to, but I haven't went yet. My captain asked me last week, he's like, did you ever go to supervisor school? I'm like, No, I never even heard of it. He's like, we got to get you in there. I'm gonna get a year later.
Yeah,
You know?
well, yeah, out here in California, I think you have a year from when you're promoted to actually to go through supervisor school. But if it's anything in New Jersey like it is in California, it sounds great. It's basically watching a lot of Band of Brothers and When We Were Heroes and little snippets of that, and kind of doing these group exercises. But there were no aha moments in supervisor school for me either on how to manage this transition from
Yeah.
squad partner to squad leader.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's just learning on the job.
It is just learning on the job, and hopefully, I mean, you've got it in you, man. The leadership it takes to go out and step out front and create a page like that and put yourself out there to the public so they can, be inspired and learn from you. It's the same things you need in a good supervisor, I found, right? The ability to step out there, the willingness to be vulnerable and to be honest, and open yourself up to criticism. I mean, you do all those things when when you blast your photo on Instagram, the whole world can see it.
Yeah,
So it takes a lot of courage to do that, and we've always been impressed with the message you put out there. It is my favorite of these fitness for cops pages because of the positivity of it, right? Like you say,
Thank
it's
you.
very intentional that you don't have negativity on there, and I'm not a negative person, so I'm not drawn to that stuff anyway. And I enjoy seeing it when you post and seeing some of the stories you put out there. And I read your stuff and go, man, I wish I had the discipline to be that consistent and that motivated to do it, because it's really great.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a great service for cops. So, I was curious if all those things that are happening and what's going on, do you have like a great story of someone who reached out to you or maybe a direct message or an email you got from someone about how the pages affected them?
Yeah, there was this one guy about a year ago. I feel bad. He reached out to me. He was in a real bad depression. His weight was bothering him. He was always hurt. And my first thing to him was, listen, I'm not a doctor, and I can't give you any type of medical advice, and I can't help you along those lines. I think you should really see somebody, because I can't, give this guy certain advice, and then he goes around and he hurts himself or something,
Right.
and then it comes back on me, So I just had to state that to him. I'm like, but let me give you a few, exercises to do. Let me help you out with a little more things you should try eating. And it was going good. He was dropping some weight. At least through his messages, it sounded like he was getting better. His personality was, warming up. It wasn't as dark. But then just one day, and this is all, through Facebook. One day he just got off Facebook. He wasn't there anymore, and I haven't talked to him since. So he's the only one. I hope he's doing well. I mean, he was making some good progress, and he's the one that always comes to mind.
You must have a lot of those people, though, too, who have reached out to you and thanked you for your efforts, and not just the cop who's already fit, who wants to be featured on your page, but the people who throw you props every once in a while. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, right now I'm getting a lot more of the young kids that want to be cops, and they're asking for advice on, how to put on size, how to get ready for the academy, how to go about being a cop. Like, I've been getting a lot more of that as of late with the page, which is pretty cool because you're trying to help these kids out that want to be in the profession we work in and show them that, it's a good profession. It's not what the media is portraying it as. It's a great profession. Everyone wants to work together, and, we want to help you get on the job and come join us.
We need it. It's interesting. I've been getting this. I've seen an uptick too of people asking the same questions. Younger guys who are interested in the job, and they start. They're asking those questions. In fact, I was a guest on a different podcast, a new podcast out called Go Law Enforcement, which is a podcast solely devoted to people who are interested in law enforcement and what it takes to either get into the academy and then the different jobs within law enforcement. So I was on the show kind of talking about the mental and physical preparation for the academy. and what they should be doing, and how I failed miserably at it when I went through it, right? Because how don't do it the way I did it. Here's what you should be doing, kind of thing. So it's interesting that there's a whole, like, there's this social media movement now, it seems, for the recruit or the cadet or the trainee, right? And people specializing in that sort of stuff now, as police fitness in general was 2-3 years ago. So it's interesting where that'll go. So what's your goal for the page at this point? World domination, or what are you going to do with it?
World domination. Let's do it. Let's just take over the world. Fuck it. Sorry for my language. But no, actually, we're working on a few things. One of the reps for the page, Kyle Mobley, he's working on a video series that is going to be directed towards kids and guys, women going into the academy. You know, how to train, how to get ready for it, what to expect. So he's working on that with a bunch of different people. And I'm working on, we're going to start doing a lot more events, fundraisers, you know, family days, tug of war, softball tournaments. We're working along those lines now. And that's what we have been focusing on, getting that area going, you know. So it will help us get the message out, but it's also bringing people together at the same time. So we think it's going to be good once it actually takes off.
Awesome. So, all right, for people who haven't at this point picked up their phone to figure out your Instagram, if they don't already know about you, how do they find out about you and your Facebook and website and all that sort of stuff?
Instagram, they could just find us at Police Fitness Nutrition. And on Facebook, the same thing. Just search Police Fitness Nutrition and we'll pop up.
And, of course, we'll post those into the show notes for anyone who wants to listen or wants to go to our website. If you can't write it down at the moment or can't remember it, you can go to thesquadroom.net, look for Wilson's episode, and you'll see the links for his website or his pages there. Wilson, thanks for being on the show, man. It was fun to finally catch you in, quote-unquote, in person and have a conversation. I've always enjoyed our interactions in the backgrounds of Instagram and email and whatnot, but nice to put a voice to all of the conversation as well. And I love what you're doing, man. Keep at it, because I get inspiration from it. And I'll be honest, there are days where, you know, production or, you know, work or something like that can be kind of a drag. And I check your posts. I see something in your posts that pushes me forward. So I am as much a recipient of your work as I am a fan of it. So just keep at it, man. Keep at it.
Thank you, guy. I truly appreciate it. And, thank you for having me on. It was great to, you know, finally come on and see you face to face and not just do the pictures and stuff. So it was a entertaining and interesting experience.
All right, I'm glad it was, man. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon, bro. Bye.
All right, thanks for listening to The Squad Room. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Wilson from Police Fitness Nutrition. If you like what you heard today, if you got something out of this conversation, please consider leaving a review on iTunes. I read each of them, and it really helps spread the word for the show. If you heard something today you know a friend or a loved one needs to hear, please tell them about the show. You can go to thesquadroom.net and email this episode directly to someone. You can also keep up to date. You can text The Squad Room to 44222 to get signed up for our mailing list directly from your phone. And, of course, my Instagram and Twitter pages at The Squad Room. And also we're on Facebook. Our job is tough, so if you have any questions, comments, you want to reach out, start a conversation, please shoot me an email, Garrett at thesquadroom.net. That's Garrett with 2 R's, 2 T's. Lastly, I want to tell you this episode is brought to you by Audible.com. With over 180,000 titles in their inventory, Audible has hundreds of audiobooks that apply to us. If it's a slow shift or a long commute, audiobooks are a great way to continue your education after you've listened to every episode of The Squad Room, of course. Now, to get your free 30-day trial and free audiobook of your choice, go to audibletrial.com/The Squad Room to sign up. My recommendation for this week, a book I just finished that is excellent, called Ghetto Side. All one word, Ghetto Side. It's about the LAPD homicide unit in South Central Los Angeles in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, and it's a crazy, interesting story about a homicide detective who ends up investigating the homicide of another homicide detective's son. Can't recommend it enough. It'll turn your head if you pay attention to some of the concepts we in law enforcement typically take for granted. So that's my recommendation, Ghetto Side. All right, until next time, take care of each other and stay safe.